How long would you survive? You're saying 5 months? You'll survive 5 months?
Well, not 5.
A month? You'll survive a month in the wild?
I think so.
What would you eat?
Oh, true.
Huh?
True. I don't know.
You don't know?
I wouldn't survive a day.
You got to work out what to eat. You got to work out what to drink, how to purify it. You have to learn to build a shelter, how to protect yourself from the creepy crawlies. Okay, so you practically should that 1 month to about a couple of hours. Okay, so we need to teach you how to survive in the wild, because there's going to come a time when we have to leave even our country homes and go into the mountains and the wilderness places. Okay, the good thing about it, your bread and water is sure. Okay, but how God provides it is another matter. So I just want to share with you my contact details. If you need my contact details, these are there. Okay, make sure you grab these details if you want to stay in contact, if you want to see what we're doing in the ministry or anything. So let's go through some things. Okay, so the point of this afternoon study is this. It's not a Bible study. It's more about opening your eyes. Okay, there's things happening around us in the news all over the place that are pointing to the second coming of Jesus Christ. Just like we will read about in the great controversy, signs in the temple and signs in the cloud. These are those other signs. Let's look at this story. As organized religion falters, the devil falls on hard times. The 21st century has been hard on God, with faith in the divine and organized religion facing unrelenting decline. Losing faith in God seems to be accompanied by disbelief in the devil, according to a new Gallup report that found that more than half of Americans, 58%, said they believe he exists, down from 2/3 in 2001. Note the date on this. RNS is Religious News Services. You can just put that in, Google that, and you should see this story. Okay? It goes on to say this. About the same percentage, 59%, said that they believe in hell, down from 71% 2 decades ago. The poll of 1,011 adults, Americans, taken in May 2023, asked about beliefs in 5 spiritual entities: God, the devil, angels, hell, and heaven. Belief in all 5 is at its lowest. Dropped from 90% in 2001 to 74% in 2023. Belief in heaven was down from 83 to 67, while belief in angels dropped from 79 to 69%. Okay, so let me just give you a chart from this. So this is the decline which they're talking about. Okay. Now, I think so. What is the significance of this decline in religion to the end times? Can anybody see a link? It's accurate. Well, these statistics are, I believe, are accurate. Yeah, from Gallup. Anything else?
Well, it makes sense because the people who do believe in God and those slaves will be seen as extremists or fanatics, that it will be easier for the non-believers to persecute us in the end.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. So those who do believe in God will be seen as extremists, fanatics, the weird ones. Okay, yes, go ahead.
I want to ask the question. Is believing in the devil bad?
No, you believe in the devil. You believe he's the devil.
No, I'm just asking.
But you don't worship the devil.
Yeah, what?
There's a difference. Believing that he exists.
Oh,
okay. Not worshiping him. Well, there is people who worship the Satan. Straight up worship Satan. But that's not this discussion right now. Go ahead.
Would you say that I think in this day and age, a lot of people are not strong in the faith in the fact, like, even outside, like, the SDA church, like, for example, Catholics get baptized, but they don't, they baptize Catholic, or like, I asked around with loads of, like, students, they baptize Catholic, but they don't believe in God. There's no, like, correlation between that. So I feel like even in the SDA church, if you're baptized quite young, or if you're baptized young, I guess, and your faith isn't strong, then
Okay, and what you mentioned something about the Catholics. If you continue reading the article, it actually pointed out an interesting fact. It said that obviously among people who attended church, belief in God was highest. Okay, however, with Catholics believe less than evangelicals, up to 20 points less. Okay, especially when it came to devil and the hell, because you know Catholic Church has this view of an ever-burning hell and purgatory and Satan's on the paycheck of heaven, and he's just there to torture people in hell. That's their concept of hell. And so they choose not to believe. So this is an opportunity for us, as when we witness to Catholics, to teach them a true concept of what heaven is about and what hell is about. Okay, what's interesting about this? Let me read you some quote from Mrs. White and then show you the connection between a decline in religion and the end times. It says this, Great Controversy, 1888 version. In the movements now in progress in the United States to secure for the institutions and usages of the church the support of the state, Protestants are following the steps of Papists. Nay, more, they are opening the door for Popery to regain in Protestant America the supremacy which she has lost in the old world. The old world talks about Europe. Let me just explain that now, okay? What Mrs. White is saying here is that the Protestants are concerned about their institutions. And so they are appealing to the state to do something to help them survive. Okay, let's read another quote. Same book, page 445. When the leading churches of the United States, uniting upon such points of doctrine as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees to sustain their institutions. So why do they want a Sunday law? To sustain their institution. Because their institutions, their school, their colleges, their churches are going down because people aren't believing as much. So they say, you know what, we need a Sunday law to force people to go to church because they're not going to church, and we've got these huge institutions that we're going to lose. Okay? So I see that Gallup poll as an example of this coming to pass, or being ripe to come to pass. Okay? Ready to move on? Next story? Okay. Next story is this one. Who's Gina Miller? She's somebody British. This is the date, July the 28th. When's the 28th? Yesterday. Yes, so this was yesterday's story. Anti-Brexit campaigner Gina Miller has warned that we don't have a functioning democracy if new political parties cannot access banking services after she was told her own party's account would be shut. The government and financial services watchdog must step in and ensure new parties and MPs can access banking to be able to operate, she said. Okay? But this comes on the back of another story, doesn't it? Oh, well, let's not get let's read this one first, okay? From PAB, the lender hung me out to dry, says debanked customer. Accountant Amit Shah was left without access to any of his salary or savings when his building society abruptly froze all his accounts earlier this year in the middle of a major house renovation project. Mr. Shah, 36, received an email out of the blue in February from Nationwide Building Society informing him that his accounts were being frozen and placed under review. Let's read a bit more. When he contacted the lender about the decision, they said they were unable to give him a reason for why his accounts had been frozen, and he was given no time frame on how long it would take to review his case. Under current rules, banks have the right to close a customer's account in the same way that a person can choose to shut their own account, And lenders do not have to explain to a customer why they have closed their account.
And this is very common actually.
Very common. You know of other people just shutting their account, just walk in there and your cars and stuff don't work. You shut out, you got your thousands of pounds in there.
No, can't pay your bills.
Yeah.
Can't do anything, and it's not like they shut your account and give you your money. Your money is there frozen.
It's frozen for a long time.
You don't know when you're going to get it back or if you're going to get it back.
Yeah.
Because they may say that your money is due to fraud or money laundering or whatever, and you're confiscating the money, so you may have lost like 20 or 100,000 just like that.
Exactly. So he eventually got his money. After a long while, they basically said, "Come and get your money." That's it. That was it. So they didn't reopen his account. He had to go elsewhere. No explanation. They shut him out of the banking system. You have to think how difficult it is to operate without a bank. Just try to imagine how difficult it is to operate without this whole banking system working for your benefit. Okay? And so the first one was an MP, politician. This is just Joe Blogs. Just Joe Blogs. Okay? And they don't give a reason. We just don't like you. Here's your bank account. Basically, that was it. And then there's the famous one with Mr. Farage. This was 2 days ago. City Watchdog poised to investigate NatWest over discrimination. The financial watchdog is poised to investigate NatWest over whether the bank unlawfully discriminated against customers on political grounds. What type of grounds? Political. Are you guys political? No. You say no, but when you are against the Sunday law, you don't realize you then have become political. When you start talking about a political figure, and the Pope is a political figure, okay, you then become political.
Also, our views about gay marriage is great.
Exactly. Yeah. So you suddenly become very, very political when because of the views you hold. You don't think you're political, but you're not running around saying, I'm Labour, I'm Conservative, I'm Liberal Democrat, I'm Green. No, you may not be doing that, but your religious views are political. And they shutting down political ground. The Payment Account Regulations 2019 make it an offence to withhold or shut down accounts of customers on discriminatory grounds, including for sex, race, religious reasons. But it also stops banks shutting down accounts because of a client's political beliefs. Okay, let me go on to say this from the same thing. The rule would give the SDA power to intervene and investigate NatWest over banks accused of closing down their accounts of politicians. The furore has been sparked by the decision of Coutts, which is owned by NatWest, to shut down Nigel Farage's account after it compiled a 40-page dossier on him that concluded his views do not align with our values. You don't understand how dangerous that is. When your views do not align with the world's values. You don't realize that. Your stance on LGBTQ+, okay? Is that in line with the world? I hope not. I hope not. So your views don't align with their values. And they can just shut you down, put a little dossier together, and say, I don't like you. Close you down.
And I just want to say, it can happen to any one of us, especially if you pay tithe to the BUC, because sometimes banks do reviews into charities and where your money is going, and when they see that your BUC SDA doesn't believe in this and that, then
exactly.
it can happen to us.
Yeah, definitely.
We're supporting this so that.
Yeah, most definitely. The Bible says this, and you know the text. You know where I'm going to go to with this text? You're going to say something?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, it's not just, like, got to do with, like, money and stuff and, like, banks shutting you down. It's got to do with, like, everyday life as well. I feel like in this day and age, if you not necessarily speak up, but, like, if you express your views about something, especially if you say, if your friend was to come out to you as being gay or trans or whatever, And if you say something like, I can't support you in that, I'm sorry, you can get a lot of backlash from it. And it will affect just like different areas of your life as well. So it's like, I don't know.
We're going to get to the LGBTQ plus stuff soon.
It's quite weird how it affects, if your views are different from someone else's, how it affects your life.
Sure. You know that they want to also call, the Pope is pushing for hate speech on the internet, against hate speech, okay? Because lots of groups are calling him the Antichrist, the beast, and so forth, and he wants that labeled as hate speech and shut down. Okay? Once that happens, you're going to be in for a lot of problems. You think LGBTQ plus is a hot issue? Wait till the Catholic Church starts picketing your doors, protesting all these little Catholic nuns outside your thing. Yeah, okay. Revelation 13:7. Hopefully this was the text you were thinking of. Janae, was that the text you were thinking of?
Yeah.
It was, exactly. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had a mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And what's the number of his name?
666.
And who is that referring to? The papal Babylonian system, not just the papacy, not just the Pope. It's a Babylonian system that he heads up. Okay? So this whole system is going to work against you, and they're going to force you to a point where you cannot buy or sell. So when they say you cannot buy or sell, what they're basically saying is that you've been debanked. You've been debanked. You've been shut out of the monetary system. You can't use your credit card. You can't use your debit card. You can't even use a check. You can't get cash. You've been shut out of the financial system. You won't be able to buy or sell. Okay, please remember, this is what the Bible is telling us is going to happen. Everything that Jesus predicted about the fall of Jerusalem happened exactly. Everything. So when they say when the Bible says you won't be able to buy or sell, you best believe it's going to happen. But we're already being given a solution to this. You know what the solution is? No, I'm asking you.
No.
You don't know what the solution is?
Oh, the Bible is God.
You know, you're like, well, Jesus is the answer for everything. Yes, Jesus? Is that the answer?
Jesus is always in.
No. What's the solution? Be disconnected. What does Revelation 18:1-4 say? Come out of her, my people. We have to separate ourselves from the system. They can't shut you out if you're not a part.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're not a part of the system, it's impossible for them to shut you out.
Does that mean you should come out of the bank?
Eventually, you will close down your banks. Miss White talked about the Holy Spirit will tell you a time when to sell all that you have, all your assets, withdraw your money, and use it for evangelism. Yeah. The Holy Spirit will tell you, your pastor will tell you, the Spirit of God will tell you, now's the time to do it. Okay? And you'll do that. So, please remember, not one Christian perished in the fall of Jerusalem. That means they lost nothing in the fall of Jerusalem. Okay? The same with God's believers now. If you're a believer now, if you're following the instructions, you will not lose out. You will not lose out. Okay? Miss White says this. Again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people, whose people? Our people. When we talk about our people, you know how you're white, okay? But sometimes black people say our people, okay? Like we're talking about black people. We're not talking about black people or Asian people. We're talking about remnant-minded people. That's the our, okay? So our people are to take their families away from the cities into the country, not to the mountains. Nobody's asking you to run to the mountains. Not yet. Where they can raise their own Raise your own provision. You need to read Genesis 47. You need to study Genesis 47, okay? For in the future, the problem of will be a very serious one. It's going to be very serious for a number of reasons. One, because they're going to shut you out. Okay? Two, even if you work in the system, you may not want to buy the food they want to sell you. They may have having some human burgers, some rat burgers, some cricket protein. Okay? They may have, and they can rustle that up for you, put some spice on it. It smells good. Just offer it up to you. You may not want to buy that sort of stuff. Okay? So, or the food can be full of the vaccine. Okay? Or it's all genetically modified and you eat enough that you're just going to start growing limbs out of the wrong places. You know? So, but we should now, when should we do it?
Now.
When?
Now.
Now. Now. We should now begin to heed the instructions given us over and over again. Get out of the cities into rural districts where the houses are not crowded closely together, where you will be free from the interference of the enemies. Okay? That's how you can escape dependence on the banking system, coming out of Babylon. Testimony Volume 5, the time is coming when we cannot sell at any price. This is particularly important for those people who think, oh, I've got a property here and I've got a property here. When's the right time to sell? Okay? You've got to really listen to the Holy Spirit, because there's going to come a time when you won't be able to sell. And you'll have all these assets locked up and they're shut away from you. You know, like you have all these Russian oligarchs who, when they had sanctions on Russia, all their money froze in England. Okay, you own a football club, it doesn't matter. It's frozen. Okay, and they can do the very same thing with you. Please remember, the digital currency is coming. Okay, the digital currency is coming. America Fed Now is a digital currency. That's the name, and they've already started it. Started this month in July. That's the whole rollout. Banks have signed up and they're changing up their systems. But now, the decree will soon go forth, prohibiting men to buy or sell of any man save him that hath the mark of the beast. In other words, those people who are not Adventists, not remnant-minded, won't be able to trade with you. Okay? Some of us think, oh, we'll get some bartering system going on. We'll buy gold coins and silver coins. I've heard all that discussion. They feel that they're just going to be banned from trading with you. Okay? They'll probably be classed as one of us. They'll have their assets frozen. Yeah. So yeah, you'll be locked out. We won't get support from anywhere. Okay, when I mean anywhere, I mean everywhere. Not even the church. Listen carefully. Not even the church will support you. The Seventh-day Adventist Church. How many of you think that's extreme? Let me give you a scenario. I know several people who have had problems with getting the Sabbath off. They've asked the church for assistance, and the church has failed to help them, or basically said, don't work on the Sabbath. That's the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In Russia, the pastors had to send their children to school on the Sabbath. The Seventh-day Adventist Church. So don't think our church is going to help us and support us. No, they won't. They will throw you underneath the bus. You've got to support yourself. Seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling, my brother.
I think even here in the UK, there was an issue when there was a vaccine, COVID, and when people were saying, no, I'm an Adventist, I don't want to take the jab. And the church wrote them and said, those are not our views, this is their personal views. So we can't really the church for that.
There's no church mandate. You know, it's all over America. I still wrote letters for people, okay, to help them with that, but I couldn't write it in the church's name, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I had to write it otherwise, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna move on to the next issue, okay? Any more discussion about money and the financial system? The financial crash is gonna come, okay? You know, in Genesis 47, let me just say this. Joseph is ruling Egypt. Okay, he's ruling Egypt, okay? It's the first year of the famine. The people run out of food. The Egyptians do. And they come to Joseph. What does Joseph do? He sells them. He basically collects all the gold and silver in the land in that first year and keeps the people going. The second year, the famine continues. The people come to Joseph the second year. And he says, well, what do you have? He says, well, I've got a couple of horses. I've got, and he said, okay, bring them all in. So he fed them the second year for all their possessions. The third year, they come to Joseph together as a group. They get smart now. Because they start to realize that what Joseph said about the 7-year famine is going to happen. So they come together and say, Joseph, we're not going to lie to you. We will not hide from you, okay? All we've got left are our bodies and our land. Okay? We want to strike a deal with you. You feed us for the rest of the famine, and we will serve you. We will be your slaves, and you will have our land. And Joseph said, okay, that's a deal. And he obtained all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh. He obtained all the people as slaves for Pharaoh.
Is that okay? Is that like...
No, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. It's not okay. So, but what I'm just saying is this: what happened is because they didn't prepare, they didn't believe what Joseph said. Joseph was saying there's going to be a famine, and he's storing up 20% of everything he owned, storing it up for 7 years, storing it up. Okay. They're just living life. Oh, wait, this is a good year, another good harvest, and they're living life large, not listening to Joseph. And as a result, when the famine came, they didn't even have enough food for 1 year. They didn't have enough food for 1 year. They thought life was going to go on as normal. At the end of that year, they thought things will get back to normal. It didn't. It didn't. Okay? And they end up becoming slaves. He intentionally enslaved them because they weren't prepared. Mrs. White is telling us how to prepare. Get your land, grow your own crops, have your own power, have your own water, have enough things in store like your clothing so that you will never have to sell yourself. Mrs. White says the slavery is going to return because the spirit of slavery has never gone.
That's true.
Okay? And the World Economic Forum is planning to enslave you. If you don't know about the World Economic Forum, you best go and Google it and YouTube it. Okay? This is not Adventist conspiracy. So many people are talking about it.
The First Minister is part of this.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak. He's WEF trained, and I'm pretty sure lots of his cabinet are trained. You know when Klaus Schwab met Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is Prime Minister of Canada. Justin Trudeau is WEF trained. Klaus Schwab, who runs the World Economic Forum, sat down with his cabinet and he saw that half of his cabinet was WEF trained. Half of the cabinet. Okay? So they are running team. And their plan by 2030 is, do you know? You will own nothing and be happy. Ernest.
We have to.
And then my sister.
With regards to this Pharaoh in Egypt, as the Bible says, nothing's new under the sun. Yeah. You will see when we came back into the country. We've been out for 10 years. When we came back in, we were traveling up on the coast, and we were driving by Amazon warehouses on the coast, and we hadn't passed it, and we were still driving by it on the coast. The thing was so big. And we kind of considered, we looked at, you know what, this is exactly like what happened in Egypt. Pharaoh, Joseph, was building up silos everywhere. So our modern silos are these massive big cotton sparks, Sainsbury's, Amazon, where he will deposit all his goods and then feed you out dole it out to you from there. You'll own nothing and be happy. The same thing is there. We've seen it, I've seen it in the country. Massive big silos. This is what Joseph did. In the time of plenty, he built the silos up all over the land until they stopped counting. There was so much grain stored up. And then when the time of people came, these silos provided for the people, but they had to sell themselves.
Okay, my sister at the back.
I have a question. You don't have to expand, just yes or no, if you want.
No.
Is it right for an Adventist to be trading cryptocurrencies, any digital currencies?
Okay, so behind that, okay, let me give you an answer to that. Okay, behind that is a mentality of this: I want to make money. So they see money as their solution. Okay, money is not your solution. Money is not the solution. God is your solution. Okay, and He's going to teach you that. Okay, you can either learn the easy way or the hard way. Some of us are still learning the hard way because we're flat broke. Okay, but God will teach you that you need to rely completely on Him. Okay, so this attitude that you're going to make money and spending time and energy making money is sucking away time and energy for studying the Bible, for getting your land ready, for preparing. Because it's all going to be over very soon. It's all going to be over very soon. Now, when Joseph in Genesis 47 had all the people enslaved, do you know what he did with them? He moved them off the land and put them in the cities. Do you know what's coming to England and the rest of the world? 15-minute cities. 15 minutes. They lock you down in these little areas where you can only walk 15 minutes. Not even drive. Walk 15 minutes and you should be able to get everything you need. Healthcare, food, school, entertainment, all in that 15 minutes. You think that's cool, don't you? It's not cool. It's not cool. You'll be locked down. You'll be locked down. So like, we live in Lucy lives in Leaming Bar. It's half an hour drive from here. We wouldn't be able to go to this church.
So if you wanted to leave, you wouldn't be able to.
So what you would have to pay extra. You know how they, if you blink too much in England, they charge you, they tax you. Okay. So with London, they have the congestion zone, and then they have this ultra low emission zone, and also anyway. So they'll, if you want to leave your 15-minute city, your area, your precinct, your ghetto, okay, your favela, And we used to choice it. We don't mind traveling half an hour that way, and we just go around and shop around. No, they're going to lock you down. Please remember, they've already practiced it. During COVID, they lock you all down. And all of you say, okay, we will do it. We'll wear the mask. And they locked us down. And the thing about it is, and there was no scientific reason for either of those. The scientists all said the masks were useless, pointless, okay? And also being locked down was counterproductive because you needed air, you needed sunlight, and you needed human interaction to be healthy. Anyway, so buy or sell, 15-minute cities come in, this whole financial lockdown. And God wants to wean us off our dependence on money. And that is a big thing about tithe and offerings. One of the benefits of giving tithe and offering is you're saying, I trust God rather than money. That's the big thing about it. You're saying, I'm not reliant on money, and I can get by with even less than what I think I need because God is more than what I need. Okay? Let's move on. Let's talk about LGBTQ. Hawaii Department of Health trains therapists to what? To conceal conversation with LGBT youth from their parents. You understand what they're doing?
Yeah.
So they have all these graduates who graduated, who are getting ready to come out, from the University of Hawaii Center of Cognitive Behavior Therapy, and they're looking for and then the employer, Hawaii Department of Health, comes around and says, hey, come and work with us, but if you work with us and you have this child who thinks he's LGBTQ+, yes, work with him, but don't tell his parents. I don't know, but I see an issue there. I see an issue, okay? That, you know, I mean, this is on top of schools giving out contraceptives to kids without their parents knowing. Okay? You know, this education system is crazy. Okay? And I really believe that we shouldn't be engaged in our education system anymore. Because also in education system, you have people who are known racists, you have people who are known Satanists, and you have people who are pushing this LGBTQ+ agenda, all working in our schools, working against our kids. Okay? Yeah. The training urges therapists not to document their conversation with LGBTQ+ youth to keep parents unaware of their child's sexual identity. I think it's horrific anyway. Next story. Funded by school vouchers, middle school for LGBTQ+ youth to open in Arizona. Middle school. Middle school. Middle school was 9 to 13. Is that right? Middle school. 9 to 13. So you got 9-year-olds, okay, so girls are just starting puberty, boys and girls just in the throes of starting puberty, okay? And they said, we're going to open a middle school specifically for kids to continue the indoctrination, to make sure that they transition and deface the image of God. You know, this defaces the image of God, okay? You know that Satan cannot reproduce. Otherwise, there'll be little demons all over the place. I know some of you think there's little demons all over the place, but that's our creation. That's not Satan's creation. And one of the things he really hates about humanity is that we have been given the ability to reproduce. And so he wants to deface that. Deface it. And that's why homosexuality is such an abomination. Lesbianism is such an abomination. Being transgender is such an abomination because it's defacing the image of God. And then you have people taking all these hormones and then going through surgery. And they're messed up. And when they have it, okay, the light switches on and they regret it. Yes. They regret it. Huge time. Go ahead.
I have a question. So if let's say it's a Seventh-day Adventist community, if someone in the church was to not come out,
Have questions.
but not have questions, but have thoughts of liking the same person, the same sex as them, what kind of things would you do to try and help them along?
Okay, that's a very good question. So what we would do, we would support that person. We first show you what is the biblical model. Okay, and we'll show them why the biblical model is so beautiful and so important, and how it honors God, and how that Satan is working to deface that. So once you understand the religious perspective, you will see this as just as temptation as, oh, I want another piece of cake, or as gluttony, or people's addiction to gambling, or people's addiction to porn. We will see it in the same sort of light, and we'll overcome it that way. And there's in America, there's a coming out ministry, okay, and basically they help people accept a biblical model of sexuality. So there's people who have been homosexual, who are practicing homosexual, and have overcome it and live in a normal life.
What if that person doesn't accept that part? Would that mean that I saw this thing? TikTok is a really good source, but I started TikTok. And of churches, not SDA, but of churches kicking out someone if they were to be gay or if they were trying to have sex before marriage or something like that. So would this person not be allowed in the church anymore?
Okay, so that wouldn't be a biblical model. Okay? That wouldn't be. So for any sin, when you get to a position where you know the sin and you're choosing to hold on to the sin, okay, whether it's porn, sexuality, gambling, whatever it is, when you choose to hold on to that sin, you're in violation and you're in a position where you cannot take up leadership in the church. Okay? Now, we encourage people to attend church, okay, because they need a group of hopefully healthy people to be around to help them overcome. Okay? Because it's just like any other temptation, any other sin. It can be overcome. But you may need a lot of support, they may need a lot of support to overcome in that way. Okay? But each church will be different. Like in my church, okay, we don't have public displays of affection. Okay? So you don't see me hugging up my wife, okay, in church. That's inappropriate. And if you're gay, we don't want to see it. We don't be trying to push it in our face. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Okay? And you couldn't be you couldn't be in the praise team, you couldn't be leadership, but you can attend. Okay, you can, and we want you to attend, but you can't be leading or anything like that, or hold an office. Okay? Have I said anything incorrect?
No, it's only to underline that. It's what we were teaching the little ones this morning. We influence people. We have to influence them by the character of God. And if how you're living isn't the character of God, then you're not influencing people for the kingdom of them. Yeah. And that's exactly what you're saying. Yeah. You have to be careful.
So please remember, we're accepting it as a sin. We're not redefining it. It's a sin, and there's no way around it. It's a sin. Okay? We accept it. But what we're saying, because it's a sin like every other sin, we're going to treat it like these sins, and we have processes to... We have programs to help you stop drinking. We have programs to help you stop smoking. Okay? We have programs to help you lose weight. You know what I'm saying? There's programs to help you, or help a person get over it. Let me have your point, and then we'll come back to you.
Sorry, I was just saying, when you said that you figured out that you're sinning, but then you're still choosing to sin, I had a question. So with the mark of the beast, you have to physically accept it. But I was just wondering if you don't physically accept it, but you still decide to say, but for example, you break the Sabbath, or you willingly continue to sin, will you then receive the mark of the beast still? Yeah. Or do you have to physically accept it?
No. So you knowingly breaking the Sabbath,
right,
for whatever reason, will lead you to receiving the mark of the beast.
And is that with every sin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when the character of Jesus Christ is this: he was obedient to God, even if it meant dying. Okay? He was obedient to God and said, "Thy will be done." Okay? Even if it meant dying. Okay? So with us, when we are faced with a sin, an option to sin, we will say, "I want to be obedient to God, even if it means me making less money, losing my job, losing this relationship, losing my home. I'd rather be obedient to God." Okay? Those smaller tests prepare you for the big test. The big test is the Sunday law. Okay? So all the trials we're going through now, God is saying, I want you to go through this trial, I want you to go through this difficulty to prepare you and grow your faith and confidence in God, so that when you get to the national Sunday law, you'll say, yeah, we'll do it. Okay? Your question.
Do you think that it's okay for if you're gay or trans, it should be illegal? Or
but in God's eyes it is illegal.
Yeah, but do you think that, like, it's like free will, you should have a choice to be able to do something.
Sure.
Whether it's good or bad, you should be able to have a choice.
And in the UK, in America, in Western worlds, you have the right to choose.
Choose, yeah.
Okay.
I think
However, you can choose, but human laws do not supersede God's laws. God's definition of it is that it's a sin. And we know that the wages of sin is death. And this action, like any other sin, is eventually going to lead to your death. Okay? So people get to choose. Okay? God never forces his will on anybody. Come, let us reason together. It's always an invitation. Okay? It's always an invitation. Joshua chapter 24. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. Choose. It's a choice. Satan isn't like that. He will try to force you, cajole you, ridicule you into doing it his way.
Do you think it's okay to like you see like protests about like how you shouldn't be gay and how gay people should like burn and how like that? Do you think that's like okay?
No, that's not productive. We've got limited time. Our time on this earth is limited. You can measure it in weeks, in Sabbaths. That's how we don't have long left. And if you think about, for example, if I said to you, you've got 2 years to live, you would want to spend that 2 years as productively as possible. Yes. It's the same with us. We've got a limited time on this earth. Why waste time fighting useless battles? They want to do what they want to do. Let them do what they want to do. I want to tell people that Jesus Christ is coming soon. That's why I do my ministry. I don't have time wasted to do deacons Sabbath. I have time to do all this foolishness. I've got limited amount of Sabbath to warn the world that Jesus Christ is coming soon. You know? Yeah, so I'm not going to protest. You won't find me protesting anybody. That's a waste of energy, waste of time. I don't think the church should be into that. Okay? I think we should be talking about the second coming of Jesus Christ. We need present truth, and we need it loud, we need it bold, we need it every single Sabbath. Present truth, present truth, present truth. Okay? A little silence, okay? Next story. Funded by school vouchers in middle school. The school will be funded by Arizona's education vouchers and housed at the downtown Phoenix headquarters of 1 and 10, a non-profit force that serves LGBTQ youth. The school's founders aim to give young people who may feel uncomfortable in a larger school a safe space to be themselves and learn. LGBTQ plus and history will be on the curriculum. Okay. You can sign up for the school if you wish. Next story. July 27. Okay, none of these stories are old. The reason why I'm pointing out the dates is just to show you that within this past week, these are the stories. And most of you would have missed these stories because you're not looking correctly. Okay, is God queer? You're even scared to read it, aren't you? You think a bolt of lightning should come down. And such blasphemy. University of Chicago, which is a serious top-notch university, offers Queering God course to study reimagining of gender in theology. The University of Chicago 2023-24 course catalog includes a religious studies course on Queering God, applying LGBTQ plus ideology to different religions and examining the ways gender is being reimagined in theology. Can God be an ally in queer world making? Is God queer? What does queerness have to do with Judaism, Christianity, or Islam? It's an option. It's an option you want to study it. But this is how far it's got, where you got a serious university actually thinking, well, this is a good subject to be teaching. I wish I could say this was April Fool's. I wish I could say, but it's not. They are deadly serious. Deadly serious. Look at this one. July the 8th. Our Father is problematic. English State Church leader claims. In an address to the Church General Synod, Archbishop Stephen Cottrell, isn't he Archbishop of York? And he's the second most important bishop in the United Kingdom. Recited Lord's prayers, but paused to remark on the words, our Father. I know the word Father is problematic for those whose experience of earthly father has been destructive and abusive, and for all of us who have laboured rather too much from an oppressively patriarchal grip on life. Okay? Their solution, let's get rid of our Father. My solution is help people overcome their pain. These people have been hurt. There's people who have gone through this. I'm not denying it. So the solution isn't to change the Lord's Prayer. Let's deal with their pain. Let's deal with their hurt. Let's deal with their problems. Yeah. Okay, let's this one. Biological male wins Netherlands. Come on now.
The Spirit of God is withdrawing, don't you?
It is.
The people accept all these things as a reality. It's a good option. And our option, they don't want our option because we're not fighting flesh and blood. The devil's making sure that we are corralled.
Surrounded.
Yeah.
We're under siege. Transgender model and actor Ricky Valerie Cole became the first male-born winner of the Miss Netherlands pageant on Saturday, held at the AFAS Theatre in the town of Leusden. Cole defeated 9 female-born contestants to take home the crown for 2023, succeeding last year's winner Ona Moody. So in all of the Netherlands, they couldn't find a good-looking woman.
That really
You know what? And the thing about Italy then said they weren't going to have male contestants in Miss Italy. And then, as a reaction to that, the queer community sent forward like 20 odd contestants to enter the pageant. Remember, they are fighting, literally fighting normality.
I think it's the same thing, not just with pageants too, but with sports. Like, I don't understand, like, with sports as well, because what I don't understand is, men have always been saying, men are the strongest gender than female, physically stronger than, and it's true, yes, men are physically stronger. Physically, you know, they can do things better with, like, you know, the physical aspects of men. So then why, if you're born man, would you change up your appearance and then just say, okay, then I'll race with women? It just doesn't make any sense. It's not like... And
what's worse is this. In America, there's this guy, he's 6'4", and he's a swimmer in a women's team, okay? And the coach got all the females and him to get changed in the same changing room. In the same changing room. So you're a woman, okay, and you're trying to get changed in the 6'4" there in the room.
we have, can I just say this? I work at Sainsbury's in the town. Not for too long, I think. But that's crept in. They're always looking for gay pride movements, spend a lot of money. There's one in particular who decided he was a man and he wanted to be a woman.
Works in the cosmetics.
Pardon?
Works in the cosmetics.
No, she is a she, but she's intersex. She was born with both sexes. So she
really?
Yeah, she's a woman, but...
I mean, she's a half and half.
Well, yeah, and you are born. I mean, you can't help it if you've got both sets of genitals.
Really?
Yeah.
There are a few people like hermaphrodites. There are very few. There are very few.
Yeah, but this man decided he wanted to be seen as a woman. They permitted him. He has his own locker and he uses the female toilets. And everybody just accepts it.
Yeah, and it's scary because then you're going into the bathroom as a woman, expecting to see only women there, and you see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it is so acceptable now. They're teaching, they're encouraging the colleagues and the young kids to be LBGT. It's an encouraging thing. They're not.
When you say encouraging, let me use another word to help you. They're indoctrinating.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're sitting down and intentionally teaching kids about their sexuality. You know, when I was growing up, okay, let me just back up and say this. When I was growing up, you're a boy, you're a girl. When I was growing up, you didn't really play with girls. You slapped around, pulled their pigtails, and went off and played soccer. Well, that's what was the boy. You were taught about sexuality between boys and girls. You know, and it probably wasn't until secondary school, the first year of secondary school, that you learnt about the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
Okay.
My little one is 2.5, my granddaughter. We get on the bus and she itemises everybody. She knows at that age, that's a boy, that's a girl, that's a man, that's a woman.
Yeah.
End of.
That's it. And then we're going to bring confusion into it, so they're like, oh my goodness, what is it? You know? And and it gets to this stage. Look at this next story. Nearly 40% of students in Ivy League school identify as LGBTQ+. A poll last month by Ivy League University newspaper, the Brown Daily Herald, found that 38% of students now identify as LGBTQ. Okay, compared to 40% in 2010. What's so interesting about this is that the university is Brown's University. You know nothing about it, but let me say this. Brown's University was set up by the Puritans. When they left England, came to the New World, they set up Harvard University, which started off as a theological university, and they set up Brown's University, its mothers at Yale. And these were very, very staunch conservative university. And then you get to the point where 40% of the kids who are now there are saying, oh, well, we are not heterosexual. We're something else. And they identify as something else. That's huge. So then I'm thinking, I have a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. Would I want to send her to Brown's University? Do you know what I'm saying? So you think, I can't be sending her there because 40% of the people who are there don't even know about their gender or whatever. They're just, you know what I'm saying? As well as all the other issues. Okay? Brother.
And I think this will come as well in our school, because if we want to stay up in the teaching, we'll have at some point have to comply to keep our schools and colleges and universities. And so, because if not, we would have been seen as hate university. So
exactly.
SDA University will have to kind of like change the narrative to kind of like embrace that new
and it's already happening. At a school, at my church, we're affiliated to, we have a school that we sponsor, and in that school, there's a student, okay, who considers herself, she considers herself a man, okay, and wants to be referred to by male pronouns. Okay, so if you're the teacher, you have to refer to as a male. Okay?
Well, we had this issue in Britain a couple of weeks back when somebody wanted to be identified as a cat. Was it cat? And the students stood up and said, that's ridiculous. And then they were hauled over the coals because people were allowed to be whatever they wanted. Well, that makes it really with LGBTQ+, makes it more ridiculous if you're allowed to identify as that flower or
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think it's like, okay, so when you say encouraging, I think now it's not really encouraging anymore, it's more forcing. Because a lot of people, like, especially in school, if you're a boy and you walk a certain way and it's not as boyish or it's a little bit girly, or if you're a girl and you present yourself a certain way and it's not as girly girl, sometimes it can be forced upon you that, that you're meant to be gay, and it's like, it fits you perfectly. But I think it's like wrong for someone to think. I think it's like a bit forceful though, because if you're talking behind someone's back saying that, eventually it's going to come around to them, and I think they're going to start questioning their sexuality, questioning, just getting confused about it.
Sure. Definitely. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Can you hear it at the back?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Bit louder. Okay. Sorry, guys. I just wanted to say that when you were saying that things will change quite rapidly, I wanted to say that I can kind of notice that between 2020 and now, when people would start saying, oh, you can think whatever you want to think, free will. Yes, God has given us all free will, but it isn't kind of free will, because the world is saying, oh, you can think like this, but if you don't think like this, you're going to have repercussions.
Yeah.
But they're saying, oh, have your own beliefs, but if you don't align with ours, well, something's going to happen to you. So it's crazy. I think it's weird how they're saying, oh, you have your beliefs, let me have mine, but you're not really allowed to have your beliefs anyway.
You can be
it's
open.
weird.
You can be open, but you can't have your own opinion.
It's weird. You can't even be open. You
can't have your own opinions.
They want to be diverse, but only diverse in their own.
In their own parameter.
Yeah.
And this is why we cannot believe the media. The media is pushing an agenda hard. Please remember how the media reacted during COVID. Okay, pushing fear, and some people were overly scared. Yes, you need to be cautious. Yeah, be cautious. But it was overly pushing these fear, and it was lies. Okay, moving on. Female pastor caused controversy referring to God as non-binary and Jesus with two dads.
Oh, that's so ridiculous.
Well, I'm confused. I don't get it.
So basically, Jesus with two dads.
Two days.
Okay, if you don't believe me, this is called part of the Sparkle Creed.
Oh.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had two dads, and saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit, who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity. I believe in the Church of Everyday Saints, as numerous, creative, and resilient as patches on the A's quilt, whose feet are grounded in mud, and whose eyes gaze at the stars in wonder. I believe in the calling to each of us that love is love is love. So beloved, let us love. I believe, glorious God, help my unbelief. Amen.
That's very good.
You know what? And the thing about it is this: it's very clever. It's very clever how they take biblical truths and twist it and give it a queer agenda. Is God? Does God have a gender?
No.
As far we don't know his gender, we refer to him as Father. Okay. Does Jesus have two dads? God the Father and Joseph. Okay? But all, you know, exactly. So they take things and they kind of twist it up. And this is the very mind of Satan, who can take a truth and bend it. You shall not surely die. Okay? This is the nature of Satan. So this is Satan and the language of Satanism there. Even though there's these elements of truth and you can't really, but we know that behind it is this agenda to make religion queer. Romans chapter 1 verse 26 to 27. Let's just be sure, you want to make sure that you're clear about this whole LGBTQ plus things. So that I don't want you to get confused now, okay? For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the women, burn in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their own error, which was meat. Okay? I want you to know that LGBTQ plus is an abomination. Okay, let's not be confused about it. So you wouldn't expect to see it in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. True?
Can you just clarify one point? The LGBT bit, I think I've worked out. What's the Q bit?
Queer.
Oh.
The plus is anything else you want to be different.
Okay. LGBT is a transgender. Okay. LGBT.
Lesbian.
Bisexual.
Gay.
Transgender. Queer. Plus.
And the intersex and gay. But I don't believe intersex should be
Intersex is biological.
My concern is seeing this in the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
But they have made a statement now, he has been disfellowshipped.
No.
Are you sure? I've seen sort of follow-up to this.
No.
That they actually did have a congregational, not the congregation said they would accept it,
Yeah.
but the Trans-Europe, the conference have had another division said that this is unacceptable. I've seen something in the news after this. Yes.
Okay. So the last I
You have
heard.
to research it because I'm sure they have come around now and by the division they said that was unacceptable and he's had to resign.
Sorry?
But yeah, at that statement,
Okay.
at that time it was awful.
March the 28th, this came out, okay? The last I heard was that he was still employed. Okay?
Pretty sure he's gone.
If he's not, praise the Lord. Okay. But the thing about it, the backstory is this, is that this wasn't like him just coming out by himself. He actually spoke to his ministerial director, got approval from the conference, and then came out. Okay, so this, because we've had in the church Alicia Johnson, who came out as bisexual, and she resigned her position. And we had Anthony Turner, who was a ministerial student, who was gay, who finished his studies, but nobody is going to employ him. Okay, that's in the US. But this one is different because he was employed. He revealed to the ministerial team. They said, "Okay, come out and and we'll support you," and they supported him because the local church accepted him, and then the conference accepted him. Okay.
I think they called to serve. I can't remember the name of the leader. When the conference did not take his position, the church had given the okay for him to go ahead. The congregation called to serve. I think came out very hard on the conference, and then they withdrew and called a meeting, and after that, they announced that we cannot hold posts anymore.
Okay. Praise the Lord. That's the case. I know the GC gave out a response to it, to this and other stories. Because there's other stories going around, which true, they had a lavender graduation in one of the universities in America. What else was there? There's something else as well. Okay? Perfect. So this is an abomination. It's trying to creep its way into the church. Okay? Isaiah 58 verse 1 says, cry aloud. You know it? Cry aloud and spare not. That means we've got to talk against these abominations in the church. In the church. Okay? You okay with that? Cool. North German Seventh Adventist Conference. Yeah. Okay. And what was interesting was his interview where he will say he wants to do this in order to have the church accept homosexuality. Okay? To accept it. So they're on a mission, an agenda to do it.
I think there's a report here that says that they've rejected it. Having listened to the affirmation of Pastor Salah in his coming out address, as well as his various public statements, we regret that he openly promotes views that undermine and contradict the position of the church. We consider that his open rejection of the official position of the worldwide church disqualifies him as pastoral ministry. The administration of the EUD will work with the Hastenic Conference in close consultation with the North German Union to address the issue and consider the status of his credentials.
Who released that?
This is from the Seventh-day Adventist Church International Division.
So that's GC headquarters?
Yeah.
Okay, so GC headquarters.
It's in Adventist Review.
So GC headquarters put pressure on the division, to put pressure on the union to sort it out. You know, that I'm glad that's being corrected. Okay, let's move on. Hopefully this is going to play.
Will you call me? Sorry? Will you call me? You mean telephone me? Yes. Where? Now. Because this is right here. This is why I wanted to have lunch. You just phone me? Now? Hello, Bethany speaking. Hello. You phoning for Bethany? Yes. What are you doing? Because Bethany can hear me. Well, you're right in front of me. But can you hear me down the phone? Oh my gosh. This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. Whoa. I've integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year. When I phoned you, it was ringing. That's the speaker. So small.
You're okay? Are you okay?
There.
You can let that breathe for 10 minutes.
Do you see? These are interaction notes. If I use this finger, I can open all the doors at work, no ID. And if I just scan this in a shop, I can pay for anything up to £1,000. And look, Dad, Mum, I've just taken your photo. Send and send. It doesn't need the sound effect, I just added that because it makes me laugh. What about your head? Can't feel a thing. They inserted the tiniest wafer into my brain. Oh God, look at them sound. Sync doesn't. No keyboard. I don't need a keyboard anymore. You did that by thinking? It can't read my mind. not yet, but the wafer tracks activity in the neural pathway and micro movements in the retina to predict what I'm thinking.
But that is reading your mind.
I'm not comfortable with my body, so I want to get rid of it. This thing, all the arms and legs and every single bit of it. I don't want to be flesh. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to escape this thing and become digital. They say one day, soon, they'll have clinics in Switzerland where you can go and you'll sign a form and they'll take your brain and download it into the cloud.
So you want to kill yourself?
I want to live forever as information because that's what transhumans are, Mum. Not male or female, better. Well, I'm knowing there's no life or death, there's only data. I will be data.
Any comments? I showed this and my daughter was going, wow, that's amazing. I was thinking, oh Lord, I have so much work to do. Okay, I'll have my brother first, okay?
How do these humans come up with these preposterous and illogical ideas?
Let me say this, just to shock you, this isn't far-fetched.
What?
This isn't they are working towards this. Elon Musk has already got approval to do neural brain implants on humans. Okay? Go.
I think one thing that was really important in there was when she was doing all the operations on her, and she's like this scene when she sat with her parents, and she said that she doesn't feel comfortable in her body. Like, that's like, I think as adults we should be concerned about, because if someone's saying, I don't feel comfortable in my body, I don't want my skin, there seems to be a deeper root to the problem. Like, I think when people say, I don't feel comfortable in my body, I want to be something else, and they want to be something else to escape it. But in the end, they feel such a deep regret and they're still trying to like fill a void. I think there's like so much different like roots to the problem. It's like mental health. You can find coping mechanisms to it, but that isn't like solving the deeper root to the problem. So I think when people say, I don't feel comfortable in my own body, it can be very easy to say like, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, but I think it's all about their mental health. And
there's a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. Yeah, definitely. We really need to focus on those deeper issues and get them solved to help people holistically. She's talking about something called transhumanism. Okay, I want you to remember that word. You're going to hear a lot more of it. Let's just look at this definition. David Tippett, from our friends at the World Economic Forum, I hope you know what the World Economic Forum. How many of you don't know what the World Economic Forum is? Okay, 1, 2, 3. So this is part of your homework. You could do lots of research just for World Economic Forum and just research it. World Economic Forum is, back in the day, Kissinger set up in Harvard a school for leadership, world leadership. Okay? That has morphed into the World Economic Forum. And each year they have a meeting at Davos, Switzerland. Okay? And at Davos, they talk about their plans for the world. Okay? And they are the ones who are talking about the Great Reset. You've heard about the Great Reset? Okay, Build Back Better and all of this. They're the ones who are, they are not elected. These are just very rich, very powerful people who are gathering other people around them, moving them into strategic positions, like the Prime Minister of New Zealand, the Prime Minister of Norway, Prime Minister of England, Prime Minister of Canada, and a host of other Prime Ministers are all trained by the World Economic Forum Leadership School. Okay? They have a specific agenda. Their agenda is a two-tier society. They have the elites, those people in control, the 2% or whatever it is. And then they have the useless eaters. That is their phrase, not ours. No. The useless. Everybody else are served. Okay? That is why they can boldly say by 2030 you will own nothing. If you own nothing, you're a slave. Back in England and back in Russia and in Europe, they had something called serfdom, where you basically was a slave to the land and just worked for your lord. Okay? That's what they're getting back to. Okay? Okay? So then look, David Tippett, a contributor to the World Economic Forum website, described transhumanism in this way. It is rooted in the belief that humans can and will be enhanced by the genetic engineering and information technology of today, as well as anticipated advances such as bioengineering, artificial intelligence, and molecular nanotechnology. Okay? So basically, they can say, we can improve on what God has created. We can make men better than what God had designed them to be. Okay? So this is their thinking. Okay? So some of you have watched the film, is it Gemini? Yeah. With Will Smith and Will Smith, fighting Will Smith. Okay? And basically, he is a transhuman, okay, and we genetically modified to be better, faster. And some of you who have seen iRobot with Will Smith, and he's got an arm which is completely robotic. Please remember, this isn't a new concept. Some of us grew up with this concept. Do you remember this? Yeah. $1 million was a lot of money back then. Okay. Okay, $6 million man. This was the man, Steve Austin, was an astronaut who crashed on Earth, lost the arm, lost both legs, lost an eye, and they rebuilt him. Okay, you remember it? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we all folks, we know this. Okay, and they rebuilt him. Okay, and he had bionic legs and a bionic arm and a bionic hair. Did he have bionic hearing as well? Yes. Yeah, okay. And he could run like 60 miles per hour. And he could lift up huge weights and he could see extra with his bionic implants. So it's not a new concept, even back in when I was a boy. That's a long time ago. They had this whole concept of this transhuman, how we can make God better, how we can make the work of God, the creation of God, even better. And please remember, one of the contributors to the World Economic Forum is a historian called Noah Harari. And he said, we are obtaining God-like powers. That's what he said, God-like powers. So this transhumanism is a way of saying, you know what, we are going to make our bodies even better. But in so doing, part of what they're trying to do as well is remove the God gene. Did you know you have a God gene? There's a part of your brain, there's a part of their brain that resonates with spirituality. And in people who are very spiritual, that part of their brain is very well developed. Okay? And they've worked out a gene that influences it. And Bill Gates said years ago, he did a talk to the FBI, said we can, what's his words?
In fact,
we can basically alter the God gene in humans. And the way we do it is through a vaccine. The way we do it is through a vaccine. And this you see the video, he was giving it to FBI because at that time, FBI were very concerned about Islamic extremists. Islamic extreme. So they're saying, how can we change that? And if Bill Gates says, this is how we can change it, we can give them a vaccine and it will affect their God gene and that part of their brain won't develop at all. So they're going to make these transhumans who are strong, fast, quick, who can fight their wars, who can work for hours and hours and hours, who don't feel pain, who obey orders blindly. They want that. They want that. What's that film? It was Harrison Ford. and he's chasing
Blade
Blade Runner. Did you say Blade Runner?
They did the new one, Blade Runner 2049.
I don't know the new one. I stopped watching movies. I only know the way one. In Blade Runner, the people he was chasing down were genetically modified human beings who were built to fight, who didn't feel pain, who didn't get tired, who bathed, who were fearlessly strong. Question.
It's also the same as like genetically engineering like a baby or something.
Yeah. Because you want to make this baby a particular way. So they're going to genetically modify, add parts, add technologies to them skin. There's nanotechnology, which is in your food. It's all been built up. You don't understand the dangers we're in. Somebody else has got a point? Okay. Okay, Eden.
It's already happened before when Hitler tried to do it. With his super soldiers. He was building up, getting the best that he could find for what he wanted to make these people we thought were invincible. Then at the, I can't remember what year it was, the Berlin Olympics, he found that
something.
Yeah.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
And he was mortified.
You have a question, ma'am? Okay. So this is what they're doing. We don't understand the dangers we're in. Can I give you some conspiracy theory? Please note this is conspiracy theory. What I said before is facts. This is theory, conspiracy theory. You understand the difference? Yeah. Okay, so we don't know this. This is a crazy idea. Let me just throw it out on you, okay? So your mobile phone, your first generation of mobile phone will give you the ability to talk. Your second generation of mobile phone gave you the ability to talk and text. Your third generation of mobile phone gave you the ability to send pictures. The fourth generation of mobile phone gave you the ability to have movies, okay, and surf the internet, okay? Your fifth generation of mobile phone, what did they do?
It allowed you to do all those things.
And what?
It sent data to other people about you.
No.
As soon as you speak about something, it knows and it listens to you.
Okay.
And it sends lots of advertising and things.
You can talk to it, Siri.
Okay. So that was all part of it. That's part of the internet. That's part of the So this is the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is 5G is not about a benefit to you, but it's about a benefit to the government to control you. Okay. This is a theory. We don't know if it's true. So that the 5G mass are mass which will activate the nanoparticles in you to control you. Two examples, one fictional, one possibly real. Okay? In the film, is it Kingsman?
Yes.
In the film Kingsman, there's a part of the film where Samuel Jackson, who's a criminal crook, presses a signal, and the signal goes into this church, and everybody in this church starts killing themselves, killing each other, fighting each other because of the signal. Okay? That's the fiction. The possible reality happened when there was a particular stampede at this rapper's concert. I think it was Los Angeles. And nobody knows why they stampeded. There wasn't like a gunshot or anything like that. So people just started to stampede and all these people got killed at that concert. And people say it's the 5G. We don't know. It's a conspiracy theory. Okay? And that is why America doesn't want Chinese 5G technology in the country, because China then will be able to control the people. But that's a theory, conspiracy theory. What did I say it is? Conspiracy theory. Do we know it's true? No. Okay, so I don't want that to discolor anything I've said, because I've made a clear distinction. That's a crazy idea. That could be true, but everything else I've said is absolutely true. Okay, Mrs. White says this. We're wrapping up. But if there was one sin above another which called for the destruction of the race by the flood, it was the base crime of amalgamation of man and beast. So before the flood, the human beings living were trying to enhance humanity by mixing themselves with animals. They were trying to breed superhumans. Okay? Before the flood. Okay? Which defaced the image of God and caused confusion everywhere. God purposed to destroy by a flood that powerful, long-lived race that had corrupted their ways before him. He would not suffer them to live out the days of their natural life, which would be hundreds of years. Okay? So God, part of the reason why God sent the flood was because of this crime of mixing animals with humans. It's not just one quote, here's another quote. Every species of animal which God had created were preserved in the ark. The confused species which God did not create, which were the result of amalgamation, were destroyed by the flood. Since the flood, there has been amalgamation of man and beast, as may be seen in the almost endless variety of species of animals and in certain races of men. Okay? So, listen, if God destroyed the antediluvians for mixing animals with humans and trying to create a superhuman, what do you think God's going to do with us when we're trying to improve ourselves and have nanotechnology and bioengineering and so forth to enhance humanity? I perceive that God will destroy humanity. Go ahead, ma'am.
What if you lose your arm? Then would it be okay to have a robotic one?
That's not a problem. Okay? The problem comes when you choose to cut off your arm because you want. Okay? Okay. Any other questions? My sister.
I think all of this discussion, the bottom line is we are distancing ourselves from God. Because if we really, really rely on God, these things will not happen.
You're absolutely right. And I thank you for your summary and your conclusion. We need to really rely on God. As my sister was saying, the Holy Spirit is being withdrawn from humanity. When you see the crimes of violence, it's very clear that people are becoming hardened and more controlled by demons than ever before. And we particularly see it in America. You know, some horrendous cases are occurring, and I just want you all to be ready. I want you to take the time we're living in very, very seriously. Don't think that we've got 30, 40, 50 years. Don't think that. Get ready now, so that whenever God comes, you're ready. Don't wait to see him come into the clouds and think, oh, let me start getting ready. It's like you're having an exam, okay? An exam. You don't wait you can't bring your exam books, your study books, into the exam with you. And you say, well, I'm just going to do my revision now. It's too late. It's too late. Yeah? You need to have learned it beforehand. Okay? We need to get ready beforehand. Now's the time to get ready. This is why it says, over and over again, we need to heed the counsel. Get yourself ready. Let's pray, church. We thank you, Father God, for the discussion. Thank you for showing us just a few things, what's happening in our world, in our society, that give us clear indication that your coming is soon. You are wrapping things up. And we're excited about your second coming. This world is going to come to an end, and we will be living with you for eternity. But before all of that happens, we've got to go through some very difficult times, and you want to prepare us. A time of trouble is coming, such as never was since there was a nation upon this earth. And Father, we need to be ready. We can't get ourselves ready, so we call out to you, we cry out to you, Lord, to give us more of your Spirit, anoint us, help us not to be indolent, help us not to be lazy, help us not to be negligent, help us to use every moment wisely, help us to make the necessary sacrifices, to cut off our social media, to get rid of our TVs, to open up our Bibles, to read the spirit of prophecy, to form study groups. Help us to do whatever is necessary so that when you come,